I bought and tested these 7 best pop-up tents, and I'm gonna share everything I know with you right now. Here's how long each tent took me just to pop it open. To set up the Coleman 2-person pop-up tent, just take it out of the carry bag, remove the black strap, and pop it open. This takes just 15 seconds. Even the Coleman 4-person pop-up tent takes just 15 seconds as well. For the regular Quechua 2 seconds tent, after you take the tent out of the carry bag and remove the yellow strap, the tent will pop open to make a bigger circle. Then you need to undo these red buckles followed by the yellow buckles and unfold the tent. This takes 30 seconds altogether. The fresh and black Quechua 2 seconds tent has the exact same setup process as the regular tent, but it took me an additional 30 seconds to stake out the 2 vents at the 2 lengths of the tent, so 1 minute altogether. The 3-person fresh and black tent has the same setup process as the 2-person tent. For the Teton Sports 1-person quick tent, it took me 45 seconds to take the tent out of the carry bag, unfold the tent on the ground, and pop it up. After that, it took me another 30 seconds to buckle the rainfly and stake the single vestibule down, so altogether about 1 minute and 15 seconds. The Teton Sports 2-person quick tent took slightly longer at about 2 minutes altogether because I found it a little harder to pop open, the rainfly is bigger, and also I had 1 extra vestibule to stake down. And here are the timings including staking and guying out each pop-up tent. The Coleman pop-up tents are still the fastest to set up because there are only 2 guy lines, one at the right and the other at the left. There are also 6 of these loops at the base of the tent, 3 at the right and 3 at the left. The regular Quechua 2 seconds tent has 4 loops at the tent base, 2 at the front and 2 at the back, but it has a whopping 7 guy lines in total, 4 at the front and 3 at the back. The fresh and black 2 seconds tents also have 4 loops at the tent base and 7 guy lines, but you do have to stake out the 2 additional vents as well. The Teton Sports Vista quick tents took the longest, especially the 2-person quick tent, because unlike the Coleman and Quechua tents, the rainfly is not pre-attached and you do have to secure it yourself using these buckles. There are 4 stakes for staking down the tent body and 4 pre-attached guy lines. And finally, unlike the Quechua and Coleman tents as well, the Teton Sports tents come with vestibules that you need to stake down. For ease of takedown, here are the timings. This includes removing all the stakes and guy lines. The Coleman 2-person pop-up tent took me just 45 seconds to remove all the stakes and guy lines and unzip the door. After that, folding the tent up and placing it back into the carry bag takes just 1 minute. The Coleman 4-person pop-up tent took me slightly longer to get a good grip on the tent when folding it up, so 2 minutes altogether. The Teton Sports 1-person quick tent took me just 1 minute to remove all the stakes, guy lines, and rainfly. After that, folding everything up and putting it back into the carry bag took another 1.5 minutes. The 2-person quick tent had almost the exact same pack-up process, but the carry bag was a much tighter fit, so it took me 30 seconds longer to pack everything up. The regular Quechua 2 seconds tent took me just 2.5 minutes from removing all the stakes to getting the entire tent back into the carry bag. The fresh and black Quechua tents take slightly longer than the regular tents because you gotta unstake these 2 vents, which the regular tent does not have. If you don't use the stakes and guy lines, here's the pack-up timing for each pop-up tent. Basically, you can save yourself anywhere between 30 to 45 seconds. So, for ease of use, here's how I rated each 2-person pop-up tent. For spaciousness, I looked at the peak height, the base area inside the tent, as well as the vestibule outside the tent. Here's the peak height of each pop-up tent. The Teton Sports 1-person quick tent and the Coleman 2-person pop-up tent have the lowest peak height of about 33 inches, and I would recommend using sleeping pads with a maximum thickness of maybe 2 inches inside these tents. I could actually fit an X-Bed Megamet Duo 10 with a thickness of about 4 inches into my Coleman 2-person pop-up tent, but my head was very nearly touching the top of the tent. The rest of the pop-up tents have a few inches more headroom, ranging from 38 to 40 inches, and I would recommend a camping mattress of no more than 6 inches thick. This is what a 6-inch thick Alps Mountaineering Vertex Airbed looks like inside the Coleman 4-person pop-up tent. My head touches the mesh at the top of the tent when I'm sitting upright. The same goes for the fresh and black 3-person tent. An 8-inch mattress is definitely pushing it for me, and it felt pretty claustrophobic using my 8-inch Coleman quick bed inside the Quechua 2 seconds tent. The Teton Sports 2-person Vista Quick Tent has the highest peak height of 40 inches. When I was using my 6-inch Vertex Airbed inside the tent, I was able to lie down and sit up comfortably and even had a few inches of headroom left inside the tent. I took the measurements of each pop-up tent, both length and width in feet as well as the base area in square feet. For a 1-person tent, the Teton Sports Quick Tent has a very generous base area. When I fit my Sea to Summit pad inside the 1-person Quick Tent, there was plenty of space left over for gear. Now on to the 2-person pop-up tents. The Quechua Fresh and Black 2-person tent has the smallest base area of all the 2-person pop-up tents. This is a Climate W, which is just slightly bigger than 2 regular pads put together, so it fit perfectly inside the tent. The regular Quechua 2 seconds 2-person tent is about 1 square foot bigger. The Climate fit perfectly as well, but when I tried to inflate a full-sized Coleman mattress inside this Quechua tent, it was bulging out the side of the tent because the width is too narrow. When I tried to inflate this same full-size Coleman mattress in my Coleman 2-person pop-up tent, it couldn't fit either, and it was definitely a bit squashed. One side of the mattress was okay, while the other side couldn't be fully inflated. The only 2-person pop-up tent that could actually fit a full-sized mattress, even a queen mattress, is my Teton Sports 2-person Vista Quick Tent. When I inflated my Vertex Airbed inside this quick tent, and my Vertex Airbed is almost a queen-sized camping mattress, it fit perfectly into the tent with a few inches of leftover space for gear. I could fit this same queen-sized Vertex Airbed into my Fresh and Black 3-person pop-up tent. It fit perfectly in terms of length, with a little room left over at the side. It's enough to fit a little bit of camping gear, but not enough to fit another regular pad. Alternatively, you can fit 3 regular pads perfectly, or a double pad plus a regular pad. The biggest pop-up tent that I have is the Coleman 4-person pop-up tent, which could also fit a queen-sized camping mattress with lots of room left over for gear. The Teton Sports Quick Tents have vestibules, while the rest of my pop-up tents do not. The 1-person Vista Quick Tent has just 1 vestibule, while the 2-person Quick Tent has 2 vestibules, which are exactly the same on both sides. I found that the 2-person vestibule was slightly bigger, the longest width being 15 inches, while the longest width of the 1-person vestibule was just 12 inches. So for the 1-person Vista Quick Tent, you'd get an additional 3.3 square feet, and for the 2-person Vista Quick Tent, you'd get an additional 8.6 square feet of vestibule space. So for spaciousness, here's how I rated each 2-person pop-up tent. For comfort and features, I'm going to focus on the doors, storage options, and dark room technology. The Teton Sports 2-person Vista Quick Tent is my only pop-up tent with 2 doors, 1 on each length of the tent, and I found the size of the door is the most generous of all my pop-up tents. The 1-person Vista Quick Tent has 1 door, which is slightly smaller than each door of the 2-person Vista Quick Tent. All 3 of my Quechua tents have just 1 door at the front width of the tent, and of course my Fresh and Black 3-person tent has a bigger door than my Fresh and Black 2-person tent, as well as my regular 2-person Quechua tent. Both Coleman pop-up tents have a single door at the front length of the tent. I found the Coleman doors rather small, and even the 4-person Coleman tent's door is smaller than the doors on the 2-person Teton Sports and the 2-person Quechua tents. Here's a quick summary of the storage options in each pop-up tent from the most to the least. Let's compare just the 2-person tent storage options. My Teton Sports 2-person Vista Quick Tent comes with a gear loft that you can hook to the top of the tent here with 4 S-hooks. Even with the gear loft in place, there was still enough space in each of these 4 circular loops to hang a small lantern. On top of that, there are 2 pockets on each width of the tent. The Fresh and Black 2-person Quechua tent has 2 pockets, though they're each split into 2 for more organization, so I guess technically that's 4 pockets. There's 1 lantern loop at the back of the tent. The regular 2 seconds Quechua tent has 2 pockets, both near the front of the tent, 1 on each side of the tent. These are quite a bit smaller than the Fresh and Black 2-person tents. There's also 1 lantern loop at the back of the tent, same as the Fresh and Black. And the Coleman 2-person pop-up tent has the least storage options, which is 1 pocket which is split into 2, so technically 2 pockets. There aren't any lantern loops inside the tent, but you can hang a lantern up using these attachments, which are meant to tie up the fabric of the window and door. As for the dark room feature, the only tent with this feature is the Fresh and Black Quechua tents. I'll explain more about this later. For now, here's how I rated each 2-person pop-up tent based on its comfort and features. For ventilation, I looked at hot day options, rainy day options, and I also tested for condensation. On a hot day without any rain, the Teton Sports Vista Quick Tents have the most ventilation. The rainfly can be removed entirely, and a good 2/3 of the tent is made from mesh. One added benefit of the 2-person Vista quick tent is that the 2 vestibules and 2 doors provides lots of cross ventilation even if you want to leave the rainfly on. Next up, we have both Coleman pop-up tents, where you can also take the rainfly off the ceiling mesh by sweeping the rainfly to the back. There's not as much ventilation as the Teton Sports though. Just take note that you cannot remove the rainfly entirely because it is attached directly to the tent right here at the back. The fresh and black 2 seconds tents come next, and there are 2 large vents at the sides of the tent, one at each length. You can have these vents completely opened like this for maximum ventilation, or you can have these vents partially open by hooking the 2 S-hooks of each vent to the 2 guy lines here. There's also 1 small rear vent here and 1 small zip at the bottom of the back of the tent. You can also unbuckle this and then pull on the blue string here to get the rainfly lifted off the ground. And in last place, we have the regular Quechua 2 seconds tent, which has only 1 rear vent that's gotta be guyed out, and 2 spaces in the rainfly here, 1 on each length of the tent, which open up to the main body of the tent. The Quechua 2 seconds tents have rainflies that cannot be removed, which limits ventilation. On a rainy day though, the Quechua fresh and black 2 seconds tents have the most ventilation thanks to these vents. I usually leave my vents partially open like this and no water would leak into the vents even in heavy rain. Next up, we had the Teton Sports Vista quick tents. There's 1 built-in rainfly vent, and also the rainfly doesn't extend all the way to the ground, leaving about 2 inches of space between the ground and the rainfly for some ventilation. No water leaked into my tent through these 2 inches of space, and even in heavy rain. The regular Quechua 2 seconds tent has 1 tiny rear vent for rainy weather, and no water got into the vent during my rain test. Also, no water got into my tent through the 2 spaces in the rainfly. And in last place, the Coleman pop-up tents have minimal ventilation because the rainfly needs to be in place, the door needs to be closed, and there are no vents. To test for condensation, I slept in each pop-up tent on my own overnight. For the Teton Sports Vista quick tents, I slept with the rainfly in place, the vestibule zipped up, and even the mesh door closed. There was no condensation at all the next morning. For the Coleman pop-up tents, I slept with the rainfly in place and the door closed. There was also no condensation. For the fresh and black 2 seconds tents, I closed the outer white door and black inner window, but left the 2 ground vents completely opened. I found it quite cool during the night and did not notice any condensation when I woke up the next morning. As for the regular Quechua 2 seconds tent, I slept in it with the door and window closed. The full coverage rainfly and the lack of vents made the inside a little bit stuffy. When I woke up the next morning, the walls of the Quechua tent were completely dry, but I did notice a few drops of condensation on the roof of the tent. Here's how I rated each 2-person pop-up tent for ventilation. For weather protection, I looked at rain and wind. The best tents I have against rain are the Quechua 2 seconds tents. I used the regular 2 seconds tent over a 3-day period of heavy afternoon thunderstorms where it was raining for about 3 hours a day, apart from a little bit of leaking from the back corner seam, which was just a few drops of water. The rest of the tent body was remarkably dry. Next up, we had the Teton Sports Vista quick tents. I put the 1-person quick tent through 1 hour of non-stop heavy rain and the inside of the tent was still completely dry. For the 2-person quick tent though, because the seam connecting the bathtub flooring and the tent body was not taped, a little bit of water leaked in. Once you seal this seam though, this tent will be completely dry as well. However, I think 1 maybe 2 hours max of non-stop heavy rain would be the limit for these Vista quick tents. At the 1 hour mark, the rainfly was already starting to be damp. In last place, we have the Coleman pop-up tents with minimal water resistance. The entire pop-up tent was completely soaked after just 15 minutes of heavy rain. Even the rainfly was soaked through. In many hours of light rainfall, the Quechua and Teton Sports tents did very well with no leaking seams or wet fabric. However, 15 minutes of light rain was about the limit for my Coleman pop-up tent because a little bit of water started seeping in through the tent fabric and also from the seam connecting the tent body to the flooring. I wind tested each pop-up tent by guying out each tent and then checking for sturdiness. I found that the Quechua 2 seconds tents were the best against wind. Each Quechua tent has 7 of these loops for a maximum of 7 guy lines around the tent. When I staked and guyed out each tent completely and tried to shake it quite vigorously, the Quechua tents felt super stable and sturdy. Next up, we have the Teton Sports Vista quick tents. They were able to take light to moderate winds easily while still being sturdy. Not as sturdy as the Quechua tents because they have only 4 pre-attached guy lines, but overall not too bad. The least wind-resistant tents are the Coleman pop-up tents, each with only 2 pre-attached guy lines. When I guyed out the tent and tried to shake it, it wasn't the most stable, but it was okay. For weather protection, here's how I rated each 2-person pop-up tent. For quality, I found Teton Sports to be the best. The flooring, yellow tent fabric here, and the rainfly are made of 75D taffeta, which I found to be pretty high quality. The stitching all around the tent is consistent and very good, with no loose threads at all. The mesh is high quality no-seam mesh. The zippers are very smooth with no snags on the door and vestibule, and to top it all off, the poles are a little thicker than my other pop-up tents. I do wish that they'd make the flooring a little bit thicker though. After my 1-hour heavy rain test, the flooring wasn't wet, but it felt to me like it might have leaked pretty soon after. I highly recommend using a ground sheet with this tent to protect the flooring. I also found the Quechua 2 seconds tent to be almost as high quality. The rainfly and inner tent body are made of polyester, the flooring is made of polyethylene, the double stitching all around the tent is consistent with no loose threads, and the zippers are snag free as well. While I found the flooring to be thicker and more rugged than the Teton Sports, the zippers are less smooth, the fiberglass poles are a little thinner, and the mesh is in no-seam. The Coleman pop-up tents are made of 68D polyester, the poles are also made of fiberglass, and the stitching was double stitched and okay for the most part. But what I did not like though was, first, some parts weren't as well stitched, and I found loose threads as well. Also, the flooring doesn't seem very thick. I noticed some tension while trying to zip the door and window up. Some parts of the seam tape wasn't very well applied, and to top it all off, some water managed to seep through the seam tape after just a few minutes of heavy rain. So here's how I rated each 2-person pop-up tent based on quality. For portability, I looked at the weight of each pop-up tent. Of the 2-person pop-up tents, the Coleman and regular 2 seconds tents are the lightest, and the Fresh and Black is the heaviest. I also looked at the packed size of each pop-up tent from the smallest. Of the 2-person pop-up tents, the Teton Sports has the smallest packed size, while the Fresh and Black has the largest packed size. Here's what all the pop-up tents look like side by side, as well as stacked up on each other. And here's how I rated the 2-person pop-up tents for portability. And here are the overall results. I color-coded the ratings. Green is for good and yellow is for not so good. Based on this weightage, here's the overall score for each 2-person pop-up tent. I spent almost $700 buying these 7 pop-up tents, 3 months filming and editing this series, not including the many years that I spent using these tents before that. So if this video has been helpful, please help me hit that like button. Thank you, and I really appreciate it. Now for my recommendations. My top pick goes to the Teton Sports 2-person Vista Quick Tent. I absolutely love this tent for so many reasons. First, it is by far my most spacious pop-up tent. Of all my 2-person pop-up tents, it has the highest peak height of 40 inches and the largest base area of 44 square feet. Second, the 2-person Vista Quick Tent is also my most comfortable and feature-rich tent. It is my only pop-up tent that comes with 2 doors, both of which are super generously sized, and it even comes with the most storage options, gear loft included. Third, the Teton Sports Quick Tents are my highest quality pop-up tents, complete with super smooth, snag-free zippers and silky no-seam mesh. And to top it all off, these quick tents are very reasonably priced, and I found them super value for money. I know that its biggest con is that it takes 2 minutes more to set up than my other pop-up tents and about 1 minute more to take down. But that's only because, unlike my other pop-up tents, the rainfly of the quick tent isn't pre-attached, so you do have to buckle it up yourself. But this gives you the versatility of taking the rainfly off entirely so that you can enjoy tons of ventilation. It's also great for stargazing at night because you basically get almost unblocked views. Another reason why the Vista Quick Tent takes slightly longer to set up is because this is my only pop-up tent that has a vestibule, which you need to zip up and stake down as well. But I honestly love this feature so I can keep my footwear and wet gear out of the tent. Overall, I would gladly take the 1 to 2 extra minutes to set up this Teton Sports tent so that I can enjoy plenty of space, comfort, and ventilation. Between the 1-person and 2-person Vista Quick Tent, I'd pick the 2-person tent. The 2-person Vista Quick Tent is only about $30 more expensive, but it has 3 inches more length, enough width to fit not just 2 regular sleeping pads but a whole queen mattress inside the tent. It has 7 inches more headroom, 1 extra vestibule, 1 extra door, bigger doors, and lots of cross ventilation through the 2 doors. On top of that, the 2-person Vista quick tent packs down relatively small and is only about 20% longer than the 1-person tent. While the Teton Sports quick tents are great at almost everything, the Quechua tents have them beat in terms of rain and wind protection. My Quechua 2 seconds tents were able to stand up to not just 1 hour of heavy rain like my Teton Sports tents, but 3 days of heavy rain plus a flooded yard. You can also equip them with a whopping 7 guy lines, which will make your tent super sturdy. Which Quechua 2 seconds tent do I recommend? Well, if you're on more of a budget, go for the regular 2 seconds tent. It works fantastic in the rain, wind, and sets up 30 seconds faster. But just bear in mind that ventilation can be limited when you close the door. If you don't mind something that's a little more expensive, heavier, and takes 30 seconds more to set up and take down, I'd highly recommend the Fresh and Black 2 seconds tent, which is my next recommendation, the best blackout tent. Apart from being high quality, water resistant, and very well ventilated with 2 large vents, this 2 seconds tent also comes with Fresh and Black fabric, which blocks out a significant amount of sunlight during the day and also has UV protection of SPF 50. However, my Fresh and Black fabric started breaking down after many years of use. This is what the blackout fabric looks like when you first buy the tent. It's perfect. But after a few years, the fabric started flaking off on my hands and even entire strips of fabric have started to come loose. The entire tent is still functional, of course, but the flaking gets kind of gross after a while. I live in a very humid climate though, so I suspect the tent wore out because of that. I prefer the 3-person Quechua tent to the 2-person tent because it's not a whole lot more expensive and it's only about 1.6 pounds heavier. At the same time, I can fit 3 people inside the tent or a queen-sized camping mattress with some leftover space for gear, while I can't even fit a full-sized mattress inside the 2-person tent. I also get a couple more inches of height. If the Teton and Quechua tents are out of your budget, the Coleman pop-up tents might be better for you because they cost a lot less. What I love about these Coleman pop-up tents is that they're very easy to set up and take down. They both pop open in 15 seconds and can be staked down and guyed out with just another 1 minute and 15 seconds for a total setup time of just 1.5 minutes. They're also really quick to pack up, both in under 2 minutes even for the 4-person pop-up tent. However, just bear in mind that they're not water resistant at all. Just 10 minutes of light to moderate rain and water will start seeping in through the tent fabric and floor seam. And just 15 minutes of heavy rain will get your Coleman pop-up tent soaked through. Also, the door design is definitely not great for rain. Even if you don't let the door droop back into the tent, it'll still leak water into the tent. But if you're not expecting any rain, these Coleman pop-up tents would be great. I'd pick the Coleman 4-person pop-up tent over the 2-person tent because I can fit a queen-sized mattress inside the 4-person tent while I can't even fully inflate a full-size mattress in the 2-person tent. I've also got 6 inches more headroom in the 4-person tent, so I can afford to squeeze in slightly thicker air mattresses. On top of that, even though the 4-person pop-up tent is quite a bit bigger than the 2-person tent, the setup and takedown process is exactly the same and takes me almost exactly the same time. But just bear in mind that the Coleman 4-person pop-up tent isn't exactly a 4-person tent. I think it can fit 2 adults very comfortably, or 3 adults if you sleep shoulder to shoulder, or 2 kids and 2 adults, but not 4 adults, because the base area isn't rectangular, it's more oval in shape, so you don't get as much space at the sides. Please help me smash that like button if this was useful, and if you do decide to buy a tent I recommend, it would mean a lot if you could use my affiliate links in the description below. Thank you for watching, and I'll see ya in the next one.